who doesn't want to follow economic downturns and legal issues in franchising? So we're really excited to, this panel is really great. A very diverse background in franchising, different industries, different sectors. We even have an experienced franchisee on the panel as well. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves now.
Hi, am I on? Hi, I'm Jennifer Dodd, CEO of Main Squeeze Juice Company based in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Hi, I'm Dawn Perry. I'm the Chief Brand Officer of CertaPro Painters out of Audubon, Pennsylvania.
Stacy Ryan, President of School of Rock.
I'm Ryan Ferris, President, Chief Operating Officer with a number of brands, and we'll be talking a lot about Alpha Graphics today.
Hi, my name is Mitch Cohen. I am the only franchisee, or maybe one of the only franchisees at the conference. I'm also the chair of, I'm doing a self-promotion plug, so I am also the chair of the Multi-Unit Franchise Conference that's going to take place in Vegas, March 24th to 27th. So everybody should take out their phones, book that in your calendar so that you can come. I am a franchisee of Solar Salon Studios and Jersey Mike Subs, and I've been in the industry for 43 years.
Great. So I love this topic because I've always associated myself with brands that focused on customer experience as their differentiators. And so my first question to this panel is, as it relates to delivering next level customer experience in challenging times, what's a game-changing strategy or program that you launched in your brand that addressed that? So.
Well, as I said, I'm the CEO of Main Squeeze Juice Co., and not given a brand plug, but do need to explain slightly. We squeeze fresh juice every day in our stores. Real, fresh, raw, pure juices, right? Well, that's mandated by the FDA with a short shelf life of 7 days, so we need to move those. But also, customers come to us because they don't get sugar, artificial flavor, artificial colors, and many of them are on a nutritional journey. Not all of them, because it tastes amazing. It's like you squeeze fresh juice in your kitchen. Our smoothies have no sugar, no artificial flavors, things like that, right? But one of our core competencies, what separates us, is our employee has to come out from that counter and meet you at the juice cooler. And so they should interact with you. Have you been here before? Do you see this beautiful bevy of juices? Do you have a specific need? Maybe you don't. You just want to sample and some flavors. Think about the average hourly employees that we're interacting with in the market, right? We are employing an AI tool to help with that, but still, there's a lot of knowledge base needed in an hourly employee to be able to do that. So we were seeing a breakdown there where it was not happening as effectively across all stores. The second challenge is think about the time drain. So you might have a specific need, or you just learned you had one. Wow, tell me more about this. Well, I've got to make 3 smoothies, and so it's my throughput that's slowing me down. The third need is just the cost of the labor then to add that. So we achieved multiple solutions with one MarTech solution, including being able to give the customer the power in their own hand to be able to get through their journey to learn more about the menu by just using a QR code reader. So we changed the labels on our juice cooler and produced videos just like you had a person standing there to tell you about what this juice delivers for you, how vision helps your eyes and what that beta-carotene is, or the detox, what it does for you and why it's important. And so you can be there and QR code your way through those juices and continue that journey at home. So it helped franchisee profitability, cash-on-cash returns, the brand journey, can go on all the time. Those QR codes, we're going to elevate those across our brand now in many other ways and in the menu because we're seeing such good response. And it's like a generative AI. It's like a support person for, I know we just talked about the real AI in the earlier session, so I'm not saying that right, but still, it gives people the power in their own hands to get through our menu without being fully dependent on an hourly employee. Great. That's been a game changer for us. Great.
QR codes brought back by COVID.
Yeah, it's amazing. Such a simple solution, right? You just had to produce some videos.
Don?
So I'm going to go a little old school, right? It's not innovative, but what we've been doing at CertaPro, right? So we're in a service business, right? We are painters that provide paint services for both residential and commercial customers. And we have over almost 500 territories across the US and Canada. And COVID, we actually boomed coming out of COVID. There was so much business. We had problems finding subcontractor painters. So every ebb and flow creates its own problems. So I'll say, coming out of COVID, all the demand was pulled forward, and where we've been struggling over the last 3 years is to right size it. Maybe a little different than what is my other panelists. Our average job size residentially is about $5,000, right? So it's not like they're coming back week after week to paint, but it is re-engaging those customers. So we are focused on, and again, it's not revolutionary, control what you can control, right? People join a franchise for the proven systems and the collaboration and the networking. And yes, you can buy your way into leads, you can spend money on marketing, but you need to get your ground game. You need to be out there building your brand locally. We just heard from the last panelist the importance of making sure that people understand you are a local small business and that you not only work and live in this community, but you hire people in this community. So it is really, we focused on earning your growth, right? Making sure that you're creating your own opportunities. And we have a whole focus at CertaPro about generating your own self-generated leads, being assertive. That's car wraps, yard signs, making sure word of mouth. One thing that we did at the home office regarding that was we reversed the order of when we surveyed our customers for our NPS and our reviews. NPS was the cornerstone of our operational excellence. That's how we measured our success operationally. But when we send that first, we weren't getting reviews. The Google reviews were not coming in. So we just reversed the order. Up went the Google reviews. We now have over 70,000 five-star reviews. So a little bit of give and take, what we do at the home office, but also what we expect our franchisees to do.
That's interesting. We experienced the same thing, and we took the NPS score out because people thought they were giving reviews with the NPS score. So we did the same thing, and our Google reviews went up. Stacy?
Yeah, so School of Rock, we ask people to trust us with their two most prized possessions, their children and their money. And, for us, building value is so important to maintain it through challenging times, like economic challenges that we're facing right now. And, I've spent my entire career, 25 years, asking people to entrust me with those two most prized possessions. And I would say the biggest game changer for us at School of Rock has been the culture that we've created within our communities, within our organization, and therefore within our communities as well. And, not to talk about COVID, but COVID was a really testing time for us. We are a performance-based music educator. So we are in the business of putting kids in bands, in rooms, and them spraying their vocal vapors into the air. COVID was designed to destroy us, and it didn't. We also boomed coming out of it, and the reason we were able to survive is because of how we just banded together as an organization. We increased the level of communications, the meetings. We innovated like we've never innovated before, and there was no bad idea that was out there. At School of Rock, we operate on a mantra of maybe they're right. And we always remind ourselves that in every interaction, in every conversation, during every initiative, because it allows us and the other side to leave space for other ideas. Nobody in the room is the smartest person in the room. And if you are, you're in the wrong room. But nobody has all of the answers. So with that mantra of maybe they're right, it's allowed us to develop a very deep, trusting relationship with our franchisees, with each other, and with our community members. So when COVID took place, there was not a moment where anyone questioned what our number one priority was, because we were very consistent and methodical in communicating and executing on it. And our number one priority was the safety of our entire community. And people trusted us with that. And we built the value through, instead of having shows in venues, we had them in parking lots with social distancing. Instead of having shows, we burned records at end of season. We did all of these other things to create value, to create that experience, because with School of Rock, we're the safe space for many. And many of us rely on us not for music education, but for mental health reasons. And we're the place where you can authentically be yourself and that be okay. So we knew when the world was shutting down, we had to keep the music going. We had to keep this going for people in their lives. And that trust that we've built through the years with the partnerships, with the open communication, with the dialogue, and that continues through to today. We There are many things that came out of COVID that we've kept. You know, when we had a grandmother tell us that for the first time she was able to watch her grandson in Texas perform at a show while she lives in Florida. She'd never seen him perform before. We were like, all right, that's something that we need to keep. So I think the game changer for us really is in the culture that we've created, and that's been through several mantras, that's been through years of challenges and volatile relationships, but with that, that's been able to help carry us through all of these other challenging times more as a community than as a franchisor or franchisee type of relationship.
Great, thanks. Ryan?
Yeah, great. Good question. And I'd say, you know, game changer for Alpha Graphics, it's a 55-year-old brand, okay? And you can imagine we can't offer the same products and services we did 55 years ago and still remain relevant, especially in today's marketplace. And so there's really one key word, and that's alignment. You have to have really good alignment with your owners and your customers. And so we have a process we call Net Vision with our network that we go through about every 5 years. We're actually starting a brand new process this year where we do a legitimate customer survey, quantitative and qualitative, and I ask them, what do you really want from our business? What can we do better for you? What can we add to our repertoire of services so that we continue to be and remain relevant to you and your business? And then we do the same thing with our owners. And then those two have to marry. Because we found when we try to launch a product, we might get excited about something in this room and bring it back to them without their alignment, it's a dud. It is well, I'll wait and see, or I'll do that tomorrow, or maybe 5 years from now, I'll jump into that pool, and that doesn't work, especially in this market where you gotta move at lightning speed. So we spend a lot more time up front now, almost 12 months, getting everybody aligned from our advisory committee to our key owners to emerging brand new owners to aging and tenured owners or legacy third generation owners to agree that this is what we want to do. This is how we want to make our brand bigger, better, and stronger, because that owner that signed 20 years ago bought into one thing that is not the same thing today. And I got to realign them every 3 to 5 years so that they buy back into the brand and invest with us, or maybe they decide that's maybe better for the next generation owner because I don't want to continue to make the investment in the brand. And that's probably the biggest game changer, more than anything else, is to get that alignment first, then start going after those initiatives so that you get the momentum you need to be successful.
Great, thanks. Mitch?
So I obviously have a different take on being a franchisee. So I always ask, what is the brand doing for me to make a game changer? So I'm going to give you a couple examples. But one thing I will say, your alignment strategy should be a game changer for everyone. Mm-hmm. As a franchisee, I want to be shoulder to shoulder with my franchisor when they're launching a product. I don't want to hear that it trickled down. I want to know what the test results were. I want to know what the bench strength is of that product. What's a go, what's a no-go. The more information you give me, the more buy-in I get. I'm going to be aligned with you, and I'm going to function the way I should be as a franchisee. I always talk about being franchisee and staying on brand. The easiest way to get us off brand is not communicate and not have us engaged. So that's just one thing that was always a game changer for me with every brand I'm at. The biggest game changer that I had was with my previous brand. They went into channel development, and I actually, Daryl or Sarah brought it up on stage beforehand. I should have not told them what I was going to say, but the brand went into channel development. That was a huge win for them, but they went into channel development with a product that we were selling in our brick and mortar stores. That was a big loss for us. We at leadership got together with the brand and we signed a 20-year contract where they are going to share the profits with us in any channel development they do throughout the next 20 years. Now, it's not like 50-50 split, right? The brand still has to get their profit and make money. But what they're doing with that profit and sharing with us is reinvesting in the business, and we are helping to guide how that money is being reinvested, whether it's through marketing strategy, AI, new technology, whatever it might be. So it's something that was a game changer for me, that a brand actually listened to the franchisee leadership and said, hey, we made a mistake, but we're ready to right it. And so that would be my #1 game changer with my previous brand.
Mitch, you raise a great point. I think there's a lot of executives here and marketing people here that come up with the vision and come up with the positioning and come up with the story that's perfect that we have in our minds. But how do we get it down to the frontline employees? So who wants to tackle that one first?
It's got to be easy. I was in another room, and there was a franchisor/franchisee that made this comment. Don't send me a novel, right? I can't execute a novel, especially if I'm running multiple units, multiple businesses. Whatever it is you're rolling out, make sure that strategy is simple, okay? Execute. I'm your customer, and the people that are coming into my brick and mortar stores are my customer. I have to be able to take what you give me and execute it with my team members flawlessly so that they have great expectations in my store. And that's one of our strengths at Jersey Mike's. It's a very simple business. They communicate very easily. A rollout is one page of how to make this product and get it into the consumer's mouth as fast as possible.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, that when people understand the why, they do the what a whole lot better. So working with your advisory councils, I think, Mitch, I was there when you talked about your example. I think we were at the same company at that time because I remember that very well. And so the brand and regional and district advisory council leadership in that organization, if we're talking about the same one, but franchise advisory councils should be not only the voice of their peers, but also to be there to weigh in and give us counsel. And just like you said, being way in advance, trying to be a year out. We're not quite there yet because I've been on board for a year and a half, but we're trying to be, in advance, a year out, 6 months out minimum before we make those decisions. So we have to cue that execution. But the why should deliver the what. There's nothing worse than being that front counter employee and not understanding how to deliver on this solution and why it matters to them and that customer across the counter.
I'll double down. You took the words out of my mouth. The why behind it is so important. We strive to have, 75% of students in our performance-based program not in lessons only. Why? Because we know through our lifetime value study that they stay 4 times longer. We know through our social impact study that they have increased levels of confidence, lower levels of depression. We know all the reasoning behind it, and being able to consolidate those and give those reasons. And I tell every new franchisee coming into our system, trust us. They always say, what should we do? What should we not do? I say, just trust us in the beginning. We've been doing this over 25 years. We know what works, we know what doesn't, but that doesn't mean don't challenge us. Ask why. Yes. And if we can't give you a solid why, keep pushing. Push your way all the way back to me to ask the why. And if it doesn't resonate, let's talk about it, because just because we say we know what we're doing, we've been doing it a long time, doesn't mean we still have all of the answers, and we have to be able to ground it in that why, and that's when it gets internalized. And my most favorite thing is, when we do our regional meetings and bring our community together, and I'm not the one in the front of the room saying why something is so important. It's another franchisee in the room that's standing up, and they're the ones expressing the why through their experience. And it's like, okay, you guys, you know what you have to do, but it's so much more powerful when they hear it from a fellow franchisee, Mitch, I'm sure you would agree. If a fellow franchisee is saying something to you versus the franchisor saying something to you, it resonates differently.
100%. Because I do want to say one thing. You said if you think you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. The minute we sign that franchise document, we are the smartest people in the room.
Yes.
Right?
Heard that.
So you need to make sure that we're part of what's going on.
Yes.
Well, and I can just add really quickly to that. So if we think about this, you have these great stakeholders, you have these advisory groups, you can leverage them for communications too. I agree, short one-pagers, what's in it for me, what's the why, but then you have all these other constituents. You have your field teams, your GMs that can amplify the message. You have your boards, again, coming from other franchisees, it's easier to digest. And we know you all are very busy people. You don't have time to read emails from multiple brands. You don't have time to read all these emails. So how many times can you continue to leverage that message ongoing through different stakeholders? That's really going to drive it home.
Yeah, I learned franchisees are like my kids. They don't really want to listen to me. So if you can have a franchisee deliver it. And so one of the things that I implemented at True Blue was we have an advisory group. And every new franchisee that comes in the system, I promise them that I'm not going to roll out something that I didn't put in front of this advisory group to be able to vet and test. And that way, we're doing our best to roll out things that's going to be great for the system. And there's something about having franchisees behind you when you roll something out that some franchisees are going to push back on. And they always will. But to be able to have that these franchisees were okay with it, and this is why we made these decisions. So I think those are.
Sean, I just want to add something. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, once you have that alignment in the North Star, and honestly, this was my fatal flaw when I started 10 years ago with Alpha Graphics, was the idea that corporate had to do it all, that we had to be the brains and the executor of everything. And then a few years later, fortunately, some smart franchise owners said, you realize there's a lot more of us than you. And you realize we would help you if you let us. And all of a sudden, I went from 52 employees supporting that brand to 5,000 employees supporting the brand. We have initiatives now that are almost exclusively run by owners. They take full charge of implementing. Once they're aligned, and they do a much better job calling an owner and getting that owner to jump on board than anybody at headquarters could, right? So it's a really powerful tool to think of. You're not 50 headquarters people, you're 5,000 people. Use them as part of your team. They literally are. They're fantastic, probably a lot smarter and wiser than some of your team, and can help you in a lot of ways.
Well, Mitch mentioned something that was really smart, which is keep it simple, right? And Ryan, you said something about the North Star. So at True Blue, I joined in 2020. The brand had been around for almost a decade, and the focus and the mission was to be a home maintenance and repair company for seniors and aging in place. And coming from the senior care industry, I was really drawn to it. And when I got there, we were nowhere near that. It was just a bad handyman business. So we had to find a way to really find our North Star. And what we did is we did our mission, vision, and core values. And I know you've all heard it, and before I did it, I was like, oh my gosh, I hate those. But we really nailed it. And that mission and vision and core values allowed us to come up with what we call our brand book. It's what Mitch is talking about, a very simple book that describes who our customers are, what they need, and where we fit in as a brand that we can give to owners and every single employee. And that's what keeps me up at night, because our niche is connecting with these aging adults and being their ally. And that's how Ally became part of our brand name through that exercise, is that we transformed our brand from transactional relationships with customers to actual relationships and being that ally and changing the mindset of our owners to think about lifetime value of customers and being that ally as what we're trying to accomplish and not just transactions. And that has just completely changed True Blue into a whole nother trajectory.
Sean, just two things. One, the IFA has a tagline. It says, franchising, right? You're in business by yourself, for yourself, but not by yourself. That goes back to what you're saying, right? If we think about that tagline as we go back to our brands, we're all in this business for ourselves or for the brand, but not by ourselves. That's one thing. Second thing that I want to bring up as a game changer in my other brand was Jersey Mike's. Everybody heard the month of giving, right? That was brought into Jersey Mike's by a franchisee. 100% of the franchisees, because one of the reasons it's a great thing to do, but the other one is that it was created by a franchisee. 100% of the franchisees participate in the Day of Giving. And we raised like $30 million last year for a charity, and it's local charities. And then the brand changed a little bit, and we got a little nervous when they changed it, because every other year they do a national charity. Whenever there's a national charity, we break the record from the previous year. So again, using your franchisees, philanthropy. Think about what are you doing marketing-wise and operational-wise in your community for your franchisees to be philanthropic. Are you helping them become philanthropic? Do they know what that means? Do they know how to exercise that and take advantage of it? That's a game changer for small businesses, because as the person before us talked about being part of the community, then you're part of the community. Mm-hmm.
So another question, kind of a topic earlier, which was training, helping franchisees train their employees. Talked about how the face to the customer are those frontline employees. What are you doing to help your franchisees train them so they understand the value behind it.
We're launching a new tool that we're just migrating now, and we're super excited about it, that we just ran across, and it's a holistic solution that takes our learning management system and pulls it into one funnel that also has an internal social media, TikTok type style for the staff. We can do push notifications, push out, required content, quizzes, also has gamification and rewards with it, also integrates our audit and our measuring of our quality service controls. I mean, it's just an incredible find out of Asia that we ran across, and frankly, they can even help with some affordable productions. If you need a referral, let me know. But really happy about one-stop service shops that can go broader than just a tool. We had a separate learning management system. We had a separate social media channel. All these things being disparate was definitely a lot to keep up with. So not only having that come into one, but then being able to see and communicate with employees, both from a franchisor standpoint, if they need help with something, but from a franchisee standpoint, obviously that's their responsibility to make sure they're finishing the training that's required. But just a lot of fun to be able to win and celebrate together through that internal model.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go back now to a former brand that I used to work with. So when I was at ERA, that was coming out of the housing crisis. So again, really high tides at times, and then we went from at one point 1,200 franchisees across the United States down to 350 in 3 years. And so there was a lot of constriction that was going on at that point. And what we realized, and look, I think at the franchisor level, we like to just give you stuff, right? Like there's always something new. I don't know, you talk about a lot of emails. I get a lot of emails from our franchisees that said, hey, I want you to look at this vendor, I want to look at this vendor. And so you're constantly evaluating things. And we would launch great things. But at some point you have to look inward and see, do we have too much? Are we focusing on the wrong things? Yes. And so at ERA, we decided, it then culminated in a whole brand reimage that we did both domestically and internationally. But it was what we called it, it was real estate, right? So we said we took it down to the studs. We eliminated a lot of the things. We did surveys with our franchisees. What are you using? What are you finding value? And we eliminated 70% of the things that we had. Never missed them at all. So really it's just designed to make sure that they are learning and focusing on the things that matter. And just for SodaPro now, we obviously have a comprehensive training program that we are with an LMS that we are also always leveraging and trying to create new materials, right? We teach them how to work in the franchise system. Now we have to train them how to do good marketing, how to do local marketing. So it's constantly evolving that and making sure. Another thing that works really, really well for us, we're super successful with, is peer groups. So we talked a little bit about our advisory councils, but when you can connect people that have the same role in the organization from other franchisees, it's phenomenally successful because they're just like you want to hear from the franchisees. I want to make sure that they're doing it. They're the people on the street that are doing it. Same thing with the peer groups. I've already had that challenge. This is how we solved it over here. So I thought that was really important.
So at School of Rock, we own and operate 49 locations, and the benefit of that is they're kind of our guinea pigs. So we get to test new things, try new initiatives, and also develop training and support resources. So we have an operations trainer who's dedicated to that. We're also very sensitive. Our instructors are part-time instructors, and they're employed by our franchisees. So we do have a learning management system. We do have a social platform. We do office hours with our music education team. So we try and make our resources readily available to answer questions and to provide those guides and those resources. But having 49 locations, we also focus on our teams and develop trainings and materials for during, we call it, we have a week off between our seasons. So we have our season show, and then we have a little bit of a break before we start the next season. That week is meant to fix any gear, fix up the school, and train and develop. It's professional development time. So being that we have our own schools, we create materials within those schools for our general managers to deliver to our instructors. And then what we're able to then do is take it, systematize it, and roll it out to our franchisees and say, hey, here's what we've done in the company schools, this past prep week. It's available to you if you'd like it. And we have an incredible team of, directors of operations or franchise business consultants, and they're also very involved with the company school operations. So finding any place where we can take from one and apply it to another and share it out and make it easier for our franchisees to just plug and play, that's a lot of our focus.
Yeah, teaching, I think this is our job, honestly. My best gift I can give any owner is to make them as optimally successful as possible in their business. And then not just the operations. This is one thing that we've really enhanced in the last couple of years with our group, and it's called the Wheel of Excellence. We want our owners to be the best owners. Sales, marketing, operations, and finance. Because if you miss any one of those, you're not going to be as successful as you want in your business. You're not going to build and grow a team that you can manage. You're not going to become a ultimate CEO someday. And you're not going to have the people giving the customer service you want. So our success is actually in making sure they have all the tools they need and that we're the best teachers, coaches, mentors, therapists on the planet so that they manage that roller coaster of becoming a business owner and ultimately achieve more optimal success than not. And so in that, we've moved away from the traditional, what I would call classroom-style teaching, to role-based learning, hands-on learning, micro-learning, and our staff is actually staffed with what we call instructional designers. So instead of having someone that's an expert in that particular product, we still have the experts. I have someone that's an expert in designing courses that can be digested in 30 seconds, 3 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, based on the role and the function within the organization that you need to be successful. And that's been the biggest game changer for us is having people that are good at building content that can be digested and consumed. So if you're on the front line at the register and you need to know how to do that particular product or service, we actually have an AI agent that you can talk to and says, here's how to get that ready and done so the customer doesn't get frustrated. Or if you're an owner and you don't know how to close the books that day, you can pull up that piece of content and redo it through that experience without having to necessarily, though you can, pick up the phone and do it. So I think this is an area that we're never done with. I think it's perpetual. A lot of new AIs coming out in this space to better consume our LMS content and serve that up in different micro-learning environments. But think about your learning experience and how do you do that in a way that they can consume all the time. Because it's a fire hydrant to teach someone in whatever your new owner training is, a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever that is. They can't remember all that. And how do they consume that again when they get back? So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, so I would just add, as a franchisee, I've gone through quite a few different universities, none that I've graduated from. No, no, but you know, you're there 30, 40, maybe 65, 90 days before you actually open your business. What happens then when you go open your business? Now you're worried about, do I have to go to the bank? Did I make the schedule? Did I forget to turn on the water? Whatever it is. So having the resources and having the field teams come in and kind of rebrief you, that's the beginning of your journey. Your journey doesn't happen when you're in the training classroom because it's forgotten, right? It's really what is happening when you're in the store and the lights are being turned on 2 days before you're going to open or 3 days before you're going to open through your opening. Then what's the ongoing teaching and training and coaching that I'm going to receive as a franchisee, and then I could then either give to my manager, my management team, or will the field team come in and help my management team? So in one of my locations, we have, in Jersey Mike's, we call it 14 feet of training. Every quarter, I have another employee do 14 feet of training. So they're becoming trainers, they're becoming educators, they're coaching. It's not just the manager doing it. And everybody has a different spin and everybody has a different way of learning. So you have to create the modules to cater to your audience, not just generic, this is a book, go to school, see you later. It doesn't work and it sets the franchisees up for failure.
How many people in this room are marketing, like kind of marketing support? Is there a number here of people? Good number. There's 2 things that I heard earlier today in the panel before, which is one of my favorite quotes, which is, it's not what you say, it's what people hear. That's actually a book called Words That Work from Frank Lutz. And the other one I always tell our support people is that your job is not to tell franchisees what to do. Your job is to get the franchisees to do what they need to do, meaning that you might have to pivot and change. And a lot of people in the marketing world, your skill set's marketing, and marketing's complex and so forth. And they get very frustrated dealing with franchisees because they don't understand and so forth. But just remember that those things, that it's not just what you say, it's what they hear, and your job is to communicate them to do needs to be done, not just tell them what to do. We only have a few more minutes, so I want to be able to open up for any questions for this panel. Any questions? I got more I can ask them if anybody's.
Well, while people are being brave, can I just ask, I just want to add to what you just said. I completely agree with what we heard before, but it's also not what you say and what you do, but it's how you make your customers feel. If you all are going to be around tomorrow, Brittany Hodick is going to be one of the keynotes. She spoke at the CertaPro conference in January. She's got a phenomenal message about how to create a super fan. And it's not the gift card that you give for the referral. And you know, I'm sure you experience it every day. It is how you make people feel about themselves and working with your brand. So you should always be mindful of that. At CertaPro, we talk about delivering extraordinary experiences, one paint project at a time, right? It is not about putting a really great quality paint on the wall. Yes, we do that, but it is all the care that we care and consideration we give to the customers when we're in their home, their most treasured value. So, well, we're waiting for people to raise their hand.
Can for the marketing people, you know, I work with a lot of marketing people as well, and I have a ton of great ideas as well as probably all of you. But the problem is I don't know that we think through the execution of what that marketing program is going to look like. And so I would just suggest, you know, what's the connections between marketing operations at your brand, and how frequently are you guys connecting before something's getting rolled out? The second thing is, what is happening at the franchisee level? If I'm doing local store marketing and I'm running a buy one, get one free, and the national calendar isn't posted, and all of a sudden national comes out with something that dumps on top of me, I'm not going to be happy. So if there's a calendar program, make sure that that calendar is out there for franchisees to see and understand before they start going into their store. And if you're offering marketing support at a local level, I'd say be more robust about having those meetings. You know, every franchise agreement probably says that we have to spend a certain percent of local store marketing. I would probably tell you 99% of the franchisees do not spend that money, okay? I mean, and I'm one of them. I don't always spend the money I'm supposed to, but if I had that other marketing arm that's telling me how to use that money effectively, I would do it. But sometimes I'm on an island by myself. So for marketing people, to get that customer experience, that would be my suggestion. Work closer with your franchisees if you can, boots on the ground, and make that happen.
You know, what we did is we developed our marketing method. So it's basically a little cheat sheet for our brand, and it goes through owned, earned, paid, and it goes in through our method, and we actually have it on a one sheet piece of paper. It's a little book that supports it, but so they can understand the strategies behind it all and make it very simple for the owners to execute on. And then we also have different levels of baseline, preferred, and exceptional behind that. So we're training them at what they can do in the basic level all the way through to the top level.
Did you have somebody? Was there a question?
Was there a question?
No, I saw her standing there, sorry.
All right, so last question. You know, I talked about the strategies, the importance of customer experience, getting it down to the frontline employees. What do you do to help your franchisees find great employees? Because that's the real key to it. So any best practices for this group that anyone would like to share?
We're leveraging an AI tool. It's a company called Landed. If you haven't heard about them, it's incredible. And they were early in the AI staffing market. Now they've moved into management as well. And what you do is you fill out your candidate profile, the type of skills, what a perfect employee looks like. And it works with and through its algorithms, through all of everything, you know, Indeed, LinkedIn, whatever. And it helps cull through Q&A and communicating with that employee down a group that gets you in the right framework of the type of employee for your model. Because obviously, you know, the DNA is super important around our customer service philosophy, and it varies by brand. So that's helped our franchise owners hire faster and hire better, which has reduced their turnover.
First, I'm going to say note to self, never sit in the middle, because I feel like I'm constantly at a tennis match. So, note to self. So a little bit different business model, because we have, you know, you have the independently owned and operated franchisees. They hire employees to salespeople, so residential salespeople, commercial salespeople, and production associates. And then they also need to find painters who are generally subcontractors in most places. So we have a partnership with Mazuka, who helps find the right people. Here's what I would say overall, and what we've been, kind of really focused on. And Bill Pallister, who's here, who's head of operations for CertaPro, we've been thinking, he has this path, right? You probably all have a path of the journey for a franchisee, but we really went back to the basics of what do these job descriptions look like? Have we changed them in the last 5 years? What do we expect a residential salesperson to do? And for my marketing friends out there, not all of you raised your hand, but I'm just going to say, what we're hearing from franchisees now is like, oh, we just need we need a marketing associate. That's it. They'll do everything. They'll go canvassing. They'll do social media. They'll create content. I'm like, no. It is not as simple as that anymore, right? There is specialties that you would want to. So if you want somebody who can do canvassing, that's what you would look for. If you want somebody to do social media and content creation, you need to make sure that the job description and the job requisition is what you expect it to be. So just really clearly define what your need is and what you're trying to solve.
Yeah, I would say the same. I mean, we don't get very involved with the hiring of our franchisees' teams, but we provide guidelines, so job description templates, a guide on how to conduct an interview, structure on what they should be seeing, KPIs that should be coming out of their lessons, the important components of their job. And a large part of School of Rock, as I started with, really is the community. And I would say if you don't have a platform where your entire community can come together, I don't know about for your experience, but ours has been, it's a big game changer, because if someone has a great team member who's maybe relocating, we're a global community, 16 countries. We helped an instructor from Chile relocate to Madrid. And he relocated to a new country and already had a job in a community waiting for him because of that. So, we have the ability to go on and say, hey, I've got this great drum instructor, or hey, Chicagoland schools, I need a drum instructor. Does anyone have someone looking for some extra hours? So giving that platform for the community to come together and help each other and support each other, that's been the biggest game changer for us from that standpoint.
Yeah, and we don't go super far in the category, but I mean, we try to solve the basic challenge of what is the culture and DNA of the brand. So we have good videos and content that is, hosted on our career pages that we provide for the franchise owners. We use Career Plug, which helps with that. And then the other big problem they had was just managing the calendar of the ghosting candidates, right? So actually going through that process of vetting them digitally, getting a calendar appointment digitally, just cut out steps for an owner, right? So a lot of that vetting where they had to manually assess the resume and then click accept and then try to email them for a day and a time was just too time consuming. So we just sped up that part of the process and added a little cultural value so that hopefully we give them a little bit better quality candidates going in, but that's about as far as we go today.
Mitch, you get 50
Well,
seconds.
once I hire them, I chain them to the table and they can't leave. So I don't have turnover. No, we have a career page that the brand has rolled out for us, and I have to tell you, it's very successful. We also, when people are in our business and they have, they come in with their 17-year-old, we'll joke with them from in front of behind the counter. Hey, what's he doing lately? Is he only going to the beach? Maybe he needs a job. And the next thing you know, I have a whole family working for me. But seriously, this career page thing has been great. Since 2018, I've not put a single ad in newspaper or used an online app to hire my crew, and I have 162 employees.
Great.
So it's worked great.
Well, I told you this was a great panel. I want to thank the panel so much. Great insight, and thank you again.
Thank you,
Sean.
Sean.
Thank you.